Hi, I'm James Ramsey, Group Product Manager here at GitLab, and this is the Gitaly Group 12.10 Kickoff call. And I'm really excited to share with you the key features that we'll be working on in the coming release. One of the key things we've been working on for quite a while is adding high availability to Gitaly. Gitaly is how GitLab stores Git repositories, allows us to scale them horizontally for performance, and is really critical in the GitLab architecture of how the application works. But unfortunately today, it isn't straightforward to make the Gitaly component highly available, which means that an outage of a Gitaly node would prevent developers accessing repositories and prevent teams from being able to deploy their projects into a production environment because you wouldn't be able to access the source code. And so that's why we've been really focusing on high availability. It's really critical and important to us and to our customers. And we're nearing a very exciting milestone. And in 12.10, that milestone that we're aiming for is to release a beta version of high availability. In order to do that, there's a couple of things that we need to overcome. So this is a diagram of roughly how things work, focusing primarily on Gitaly and what we've built. But today, if you're not using the alpha high availability, your connections when you're requesting information from a repository will go directly to a Gitaly node. You might have multiple Gitaly shards. But the change we've been working to make is supporting having multiple replicas of that primary Gitaly node. And in order to direct requests to the correct location, we've implemented a proxy router. And what that also does is every time a write operation comes in, it gets replicated to all the replicas. And one of the key things we're going to be doing in 12.10 is implementing this database so that the replication queue is stored in a reliable storage location. Currently, it's in memory. So if a prefect node crashes, we lose the replication queue. Secondly, the other thing we need to do is make it possible to support multiple prefect proxy routers so that we can have high availability of that component. And so if we have multiple routers directing Git requests to the Gitaly nodes, it's important that they direct the requests to the same Gitaly node. So that's important for failover. When a node goes down, do all the prefect nodes consistently agree on which node is now the primary? So in the previous release, we went into some effort evaluating using console for this, but we've decided that for this first iteration, we'll reuse the prefect database and do a very simple implementation. And in the future, we are considering to come back and add support for console and also add support for a more cloud-native approach that would work well inside Kubernetes. So this is the first issue I mentioned. We need to move the replication queue to the database. Work's going well on that. It's in progress. You can see that there's a number of merge requests already merged and there's more in progress. This is the key issue that we've just created based on our research and investigations, and we've already begun a spike into using SQL for leader election and beginning to do some refactoring so that we can use SQL and leave the door open for other kinds of technology like console. And finally, the other key part is observing when data loss occurs in a failover. So when a failover occurs, if there are unreplicated changes, we need to provide a way for an administrator to understand what isn't up to date, what data is trapped on the server that has crashed or unrecoverably crashed, so that they can communicate that with their users and take action accordingly. So those are the key 3 items that are necessary for us to ship a Gitaly beta, a Gitaly HA beta in 12.10, and they are our top priority. But we're also tackling a couple of other sort of parallel and related efforts that are important to high availability for Gitaly. Improving the Gitaly data migration tools is really important because we expect customers to incrementally roll out HA. At least our early adopters, we don't expect them to just cut over from their current configuration to a new one. We expect them and would like to partner with them in sort of moving a couple of projects onto a high availability configuration and then progressively migrating. We have APIs for that, but they need some improvements, and we're currently working on those. And that will also help other customers that aren't necessarily using high availability yet, but who need to reshard repositories on large GitLab instances. And then the other piece of work that's happening in parallel that's really important is continuing to investigate transactional rights. So the system I've described involving a replication queue is an eventually consistent design. But ultimately, we want a stronger consistency guarantee for our high availability solution. And so in 12.9, we did a bunch of investigation into making changes at the application level to coordinate transactions. And that was really useful because we learned that it was going to be really complicated, create a lot of technical debt, and not really get us to the end state that we wanted. So we're doing some more investigation in 12.10 into a different approach that's more lower level at the Git, writing a hook directly into Git rather than writing it into the application. And we hope to learn more from that. We've already got a merge request open where we're sort of doing some exploration, and that's here, this 3-phase commit ref update experiment. Looking forward to seeing where that goes. And that's going to really inform our roadmap over the coming months, because once we have eventual consistency, which is really what will become our recovery mechanism. So if a transaction fails, what we'll do is we'll put a job onto the replication queue and say, hey, someone needs to go and recover this, or GitLab, go work out how to recover this repo, update it from the agreed correct version and replace this broken version with that. So the replication queue won't be thrown out in the bin, but it will take on a different but important purpose within our architecture. And then finally, and I'm really excited about this, it's unrelated to high availability, but GitLab's been helping with the work on partial clone in Git, and we want to make partial clone for large files using the blob size filters available by default to everyone who uses GitLab. And so we'll be working to enable that by shipping the latest version of Git, which includes performance improvements on the server side. We'll be shipping a patch to add finer grained controls so that we can turn just the blob size filter on. And we'll be upgrading, or I already said, we'll be upgrading to the latest version of Git. And we'll be adding new feature flags to control this toggle as well. So at the end of 12.10, we hope that people who are running the latest version, 12.10, will be able to use partial clone out of the box with the blob size filter. So that's really exciting. We look forward to feedback from customers about how this feature works. Yeah, look forward to iterating on it, both in GitLab and in the Git project itself, to make Git work really well with large files without needing to use GitLFS. If you want to learn more about this feature, there is a blog on aboutgitlab.com. If I can find it. I should have gone to this link first. But yeah, how partial clone fetches only the files you need. So I'd recommend checking out this blog post. It summarizes the work that's been done, the state of it today, and also provides a couple of links to issues where we'd love to hear more from you, our customers, about how we can make this feature even more useful. So that's what we're working on in 12.10. It's a lot of things. All of them are very exciting. We're going to have our heads down. And I look forward to seeing you in the next kickoff call, 13.0, to update you on where we're heading next. Thanks.